Okay, so I played at the last Xerneas League Challenge, and I played my Blastoise EX deck just for fun. It's no real serious nature. I know it's like a battle roads, but I like to play around. I like to play with all sorts of different types of decks. That's what makes Pokemon so much fun. So I thought I'd give a rundown of my Blastoise EX deck, Puka style. So let's go through the deck, and maybe if I can get a good game afterwards, we'll see if we can show you how the deck works. So it revolves around Blastoise. Not so much about Mega Blastoise EX, because there's only one of him there, but definitely about Blastoise EX. But the deck's got a fairly delicate balance. It's by no means a tier 1 deck at all. And it requires quite a lot of concentration during the play, so you can't just play this in auto mode. But let's go through it. Okay, so in the Pokemon, we've got Duskull. I do a 2-2 line of Duskull and Dusknoir. This counts the bottom's not actually working. You've got to take a look here. So you've got 2 Duskull, 2 Dusknoir. That's just in case it's prized. I was contemplating making it a 3-3 line actually, because I've noticed that I win more games when I have this out than when I have these two. On the opposite end of the deck here, I've got my Squirtle and my normal Blastoise with Deluge, obviously to power up the 3 water energies onto Blastoise EX quite fast, and even these 2 water energies on Gigafrost sometimes comes in very, very handy, but I'll go through that then. So I've got a 2-2 line here of Dusknoir and a 2-2 line of Blastoise. Now, because of the 2-2 line, it actually affects the supporters that I run down here, but I'll get into that there. These guys I call the bodyguards. Put out a Kyurem EX in the front, and I generally like to put him out in the front in the beginning of the game. He absorbs some of the damage. He starts to outrage with 30 plus whatever damage is on him quite early in the game, and then this little guy takes his Sinister Hand and moves those damage counters around quite effectively when you need to take out that little Squirtle, or you need to take out all the little things on the bench. Mr. Mime, just quickly move over that few damage that you had, or even taking out an EX, just the cumulative damage, because we don't have any one-hit KOs here. The most damage we can do is really 120. There's no muscle bands, there's no space in this deck for muscle bands. I did try it once with muscle bands, it didn't really work, so you do need to move damage around a lot, so that's why I almost went for a 3-3 line here. So I've got my 2 bodyguards over there. I run 3 Blastoise EX. I did try and run 4 at one point in time, and then just do the rapid spin to spin the deck around and just constantly put on damage, and then moving your EXs so they don't really do it. That doesn't work well when you come up against, say, a Black Kyurem EX who's doing one-hit KOs on you, or even you come up against the wrong Buffalant and he could have a muscle band with Hypnotoxic Laser, and then there's a dead Blastoise. It's not, especially when he's doing damage to himself with his Splash Bomb of 120 damage. So that the Blastoise there, the Dusknoir is explained, the bodyguards explained, and this is really the core of the deck. The Caldeos here is because everything in this deck is heavy. Squirtle and Duskull are the only things that I need to get out with Level Ball, and everything else is over 3 or 3 retreat costs, so the heavy balls really pull out everything else. But with that said, yes, it's really nice to have heavy balls, but you need to move these Pokemon around. So the Keldeo is in there to equip with Float Stones, so that he can rush in and then retreat, and then I can actually attack with the Pokemon that I want. It's not 100% essential, but you don't want to get stuck. You don't want people just playing the random catcher and sticking you out. The ace-spec of choice is Dowsing Machine, simply because I like having Tool Scraper and reusing it, but then also you might want to reuse, I've got only 2 superior energy retrievals, and you might want to retrieve that. You also might want to get out a Professor's Letter when you need it, a Max Potion. Really just reuse your trainers, and with a deck like this you might want to, hell, you might even want to pull out another switch, just because you've got really heavy Pokemon and you don't ever want to retreat them and pay the retreat cost. With that said, we've got an escape rope there, just one just for, you know, funds, just in case there's that one Pokemon that's on his bench, you just want to swap it out. Not that you really use it much, you really use the Switch more, but every now and again, sometimes it gets their Pokemon stuck. As far as the balls is concerned, we've got 3 heavy balls and 1 level ball. You know, when I've got 4 Skylar here, so when you start off and you just want that 1 level ball, so you can start with your Dusknoir and Squirtles. That's what the level ball is there for. You don't really want an Ultra Ball, and I've only got 1 Ultra Ball out of the balls because everything's heavy ball. I don't need to discard things. Like I was talking about the balance, I don't like discarding. You start off with a hand with a Dusknoir that you can't use right away, but how do you know if you've got that second one in your deck, or if the second one is prized? And I found myself in a lot of games where I had gotten rid of cards then I really needed it. And this deck takes a very long time to go through, so you sit there and you don't want to deck yourself out. You want to keep the cards, you want to cycle through all of the cards. 1 max potion, because every now and again you do want to heal. The sucker at 122 HP can really stay up there and tank quite a bit, so if you stick him out there and you want to tank a little bit, then you heal. Even your bodyguard, sometimes when they get to 170 HP, yes, you're doing 200 outrage damage, but then just something else can just come up and headbutt it, and it's knocked out, so you might want to use max potion, put a DCE, and you're back in action. Professor's Letter, it's going to be a standard. I don't see decks nowadays coming out without at least one of these, just to quickly accelerate, even use your Skylar to get energy. It's just the new energy search. Only 3 rare candy because yes, the deck does require you to get to stage 2, but you don't need 4. 4 seem to be too clanky. Sometimes I don't even need both of them evolved. 2 superior energy retrievals, because only every now and again do I need to pull out energy. The 9 water energy is actually sufficient because I really only need 3 and 2. 2 switches to go with the escape rope, 1 tool scrapper, because you know, every now and again you just need to get rid of Garbodor so that you can move some energy around, some damage around on the other side, and then 2 float stones just to get rid of all the trainers, go through all the trainers. The supporter side, I do have a Colress. I've got 4 N, I've got 4 Skylar, and I've got 4 Xerneas. The reason I went with Xerneas instead of Juniper is because Juniper got rid of too much of my resources. The delicate balance in the deck, Juniper was just killing it. I almost never wanted to play with it, and then with such a small amount of supporters that I have in this deck, I do often get stuck, and then you get stuck and you don't want to play Juniper. I do have my Tropical Beach in here. If you didn't play a Tropical Beach, I'd actually be... It's not that you have to have a Tropical Beach, it helps with the supporters, so maybe you can swap it out for a Colress. But then you're looking at only having 1 stadium, or even if you get rid of this, the Champions Festival stadium, then you have no stadiums to counter their stadiums, and then you can get into a really sticky mess with Hypnotoxic Laser. I also have Champions Festival in here. Being a South African, I only really have access to 1 Tropical Beach, but I do have 2 Champions Festivals, and I've been dying to try and make a deck that has Champions Festival in it. If you don't know the card, and once during each player's turn, if their player has 6 Pokemon in play, full bench and active, he may heal 10 damage from each of the Pokemon. In a deck like this, it's often very full on the bench, and I find that just having that actually sometimes just helps. You'll see in some of the games, if I have that in the other game, I strategically just keep it in my hand because I don't want the other person to use it. So Tropical Beach and Champions Festival, I've gone through the 2 float stones, 9 water and the 2 DCEs. You don't want too many DCEs because this Hydro Bombard does require only water energy, and so does Splash Bomb. But every now and again you want the 2 DCEs to Rapid Spin, or the 2 DCEs for Outrage, more often than not. And those 2 DCEs just help sometimes with that quick attack. General strategy, I don't know if I'm going to see that in the next game. I like to put out the Kyurem first, absorb the damage, do some damage, set up Mega Blastoise so when I have an opportunity where I can't do any attack, or I really just need to do Hydro Bombard, which does 120 and then 30 to do with the bench Pokemon. So in total that's 180 damage, but it's distributed and it's for only 3 water energy. Now, with him, you can take that 180 damage and you can put it wherever you want. So the next turn you knock out EXs. Let's go into a game and see if we can work that. Okay, heading into a game against Mikester 505. I'm just going to narrate over my game. It took me actually quite a few games to find the right one. And I'm going to play it at 1.5 speed because sometimes the opponent takes a little bit long to think. So I had 2 mulligans, and then it's the opponent's turn. He level balls for a Squirtle. Sorry, I can't load the Black Kyurem card. It was a Black Kyurem, just a normal Black Kyurem. And he Ultra Balls and throws away a Lightning Energy and a Water. Black Kyurem EX decks like to favour the Lightning Energies, but now with the Super Energy Retrieval, I'm sure he can just get them out. He professes letters for a Lightning and a Water. He attaches the Lightning to his benched Black Kyurem EX now, ready to go up into Blastoise and start knocking me out. I draw another Blastoise EX. I level ball for a Squirtle, because you know we want to start our Blastoise line as well. Then attach the energy, and I'll probably just Skylar here for a Tropical Beach. Do I? Yes, I do. And then I go through my deck. You have to click show all cards. This carousel view is obviously not optimal, but yes, you can kind of go through and make sure that certain things are in your deck and not in your prizes. You obviously want to know that there's a Duskdull, there's a Dusknoir, Blastoise, Squirtle, things like that. Make sure that your bodyguards are there, like I explained, just to rough it up. Unfortunately, this matchup is not conducive to bodyguards because Black Kyurem EX just knocks out EXs. Mikester doesn't have a supporter. Oh, he does. He Schwaned. And then he beached to see if he can try and get his Blastoise. I'm going to do a Skylar to get to my Blastoise with Deluge. He went first and I still got to Deluge before he did. It's kind of funny because I don't need it. One more water energy on Blastoise EX and Mega Blastoises can be used. I don't need water for anything else really. So I'm going to Ultra Ball here for a Dusknoir because, believe it or not, Blastoise is actually less important than my Dusknoir, but obviously to start attacking you need that. Then I just did a rapid spin there, moving over to another Blastoise EX just to get some damage on their side. It's actually really important to just get damage on their side, but then they have to swap out their side as well. Rapid spin, you actually swap out with your active, and then they swap out with their active, in that order, not like Escape Rope where they have to do it first and rapid spin, and then you have to swap out after that. So it's a bit weird. So he Skylers for a Candy, so he must have the Blastoise, or at least a way to get to Blastoise, because he's going to go there. He's going to Dowsing Machine. I think he's going to Dowsing Machine for an Ultra Ball. Wow! So he threw away 2 cards, the Dowsing Machine for an Ultra Ball, and he's going to throw away another 2 cards. I think that was a Water Energy and a Super Energy Retrieval for a Blastoise, just so he can get to his Blastoise EX. I mean, obviously it's really important that he gets the Blastoise EX, and then he beached again to get some more cards, because once he gets that, then he can start setting up. My hand's not too great, so I'm going to Heavy Ball for a Bodyguard, a Kyurem EX. I should stop calling them bodyguards. And then I'm really upset that I didn't get a Candy then. I got a Heavy Ball, because that would have been perfect. And here's a question. It's like, I need the Kyurem out so that I can Float Stone and retreat. So do I leave that space open, or do I put another Kyurem EX on that bench space? And I decide to put the Kyurem EX down. We're going to be fighting here, and things are going to get knocked out very, very quickly. So I don't think there's going to be a problem. And now I can Deluge, and then Professor's Letter and go get some more energy. See, again, we have to click to take a look at what's on the deck, just make sure that things are there. Deluge again, and we can Deluge again, and we can even do a Splash Bomb here to just get 120, and then hope that we don't get and put the Floatstone on the Kyurem EX. So we're going to do a splash bomb. We have to flip a coin. If we get tails, we get 30 damage, which we got there. If you get heads, then you don't get the 30 damage. It's not the end of the world, but when you're fighting at straws and you're playing hypnotoxic lasers where they're trying to get into the last 30 damage, or even if you are poisoned, that 30 damage hurts a lot. It helps them a lot to just KO your EXs. It's a nice pretty little Blastoise EX, but it is an EX, and if they do kill it, it'll take 2 prizes, so you do need to watch out for those. Sometimes you're sitting there and you're having so much fun trying to set up your side of the board, you forget that, oh yes, they've knocked out a bodyguard and a Blastoise EX, and they have 2 prizes left and they're going to win. But generally once you get a lot, Blastoise EX is, Black Kyurem EX is powered up, so here comes a dead Blastoise. Cheers, buddy. So send out the Kyurem, but you see now we have enough damage on their side to actually knock out their Blastoise and stop their deluge ability. The only problem is that we don't have the Dusknoir out. So we end there to try and get a Dusknoir, still don't have it. We've got the candy, but we don't have a heavy ball or anything else to find it. So all we can really do here is just outrage, attach the DCE, see how handy the DC comes in. So that's why you don't really need the deluge all the time, because you've got those few DCEs to just do that outrage or that rapid spin. And he does a super energy retrieval, and we're in trouble. Bye bye Kyurem EX. So this is not looking very good. We're not fully set up even, and he's already tuning Black Kyurems and doing 200 damage a shot. So all he really needs now is a super energy retrieval, and this game's over very, very quickly. But you should never give up. Never give up, never surrender. Continue, see if you can carry on. So we Skylar for the heavy ball, so we can heavy ball for the Dusknoir, so we can actually, and that would be good. We didn't even need to attack. All we needed was the Dusknoir. So now we can Sinister Hand, and we knock out his Blastoise. His Blastoise EX. And I'm moving energy from the Kyurem to the Blastoise EX. The mouse is a little bit offset from the recording. And you just take out that Blastoise to get rid of his deluge ability, and now he's stuck. He has to manually power up a Kyurem, and he has to worry. We don't have to do direct damage to the Kyurem, we just have to do cumulative 180 damage, and he starts losing Kyurems. So you see how now that we're set up, we're 6 prizes to 2, but now because we have that Sinister Hand and we move the damage across, now he's in a bit of a pickle, and all of a sudden we get a prize. That's the other nice thing about having Sinister Hand on your side, is if you just need that one more card, you can just knock something out, and all we got was an energy, which is okay, because now we can put it on the Blastoise and we can do a splash bomb, put another 120 damage on that side, which helps. Or do we want to let's Sinister Hand and just move the damage around. It's really terrible when you accumulate all the damage on one Pokemon that doesn't have energy and they draw a max potion, which sometimes the Black Kyurems do have. Every now and again there's one random. And yes, we drew heads on the splash bomb there, so we put 120 damage, 120 more damage on their side of the court. If I calculate quickly, I don't think we have enough. I think we're 10 damage short of knocking out that Black Kyurem EX, which is kind of a pity, because if you could just do that, if he adds more energy onto that, manually attaches and does, a slash. So there's 140 on the Black Kyurem EX there, and I think there's only 30 or 20 on the Black Kyurem, so that's not enough. We need 40. So we need just like 10 more damage. So yeah, we could do a retreat, a switch, and then a rapid spin, and then we just make sure that we have only 30 damage left on the Black Kyurem and move it to the other one. So you preserve your energy. You don't want to do overkill. You actually just want to do just the right amount of damage. And I'm moving the damage off here. Oh yes, I'm moving the damage off here because I actually want to do 120 damage to him, and then because I can, and not do the rapid spin for only 30, and then there's more damage on his board, which is essentially what you want. I mean, now all of a sudden I'm down to 5 prizes, and now he's dead after a splash bomb, and there's still 100 damage on the other Black Kyurem. So it preserves your damage on that side. So all your damage that you're doing to the other side is cumulative, and if they put a couple of 60 hit point Pokemon on the bench, it goes through the Squirtle's bench damage because you're placing counters, and then all of a sudden you're racking up a whole lot of points, a whole lot of prizes, and 6 prizes and you win. So I'm just going to go through his discard pile there to see how much he's still got available to him. He hasn't put down a Squirtle, so I'm in no fear of having a Blastoise come up and deluge and then game over. So I sit here and I think I can actually win if I knock out this Black Kyurem and Black Kyurem EX. So I need to plan very carefully. Oh, I did note halfway through the game, looking through my hand, that I do not have my Blastoise EX. So all I can really do is do the Splash Bomb. I took another 30 damage from it, but there's another 120 damage now on his side. So there's 220 damage, which can knock out the Black Kyurem EX, and then leave 40 on the Black Kyurem. But that doesn't work out to it, so there's still more damage that needs to be played. That's the other thing with Sinister Hand. You kind of have to wait for damage to get there, and then wait for it to be your turn before you can move it around and kill them out. So sometimes they have a turn to come back, so you have to think a lot and anticipate, okay, what's the player got, what's he going to do, how's he going to get around that. But you can see now that being set up, and okay, I'm 4 prizes down, so I can't really leave the bodyguard out there to take damage. You can actually leave the bodyguard out, let him take damage, just put more damage and move it around on their side, and that's how the deck is supposed to work. If I had the Mega Blastoise out, we'd be doing 120 to the active and 30 to each of the benches. Yeah, he's saying, nice deck, giving me a bit of a compliment and going GG. The game is over, but I think we carry on for another round here. I think he figures out some way to get around it. Oh yes, rushing up the Keldeo. But he knows that there's nothing he can really do unless he gets rid of Sinister Hand, because I can just keep on doing Splash Bomb and moving the damage around. But like I said, if I get Blastoise out, then he can do 120 damage to the active and then 30 damage to 2 benched Pokemon, and then that's a whole lot. That's 180 damage that you can move around. So that makes the deck work a little bit faster. But I think in this game you get the sense that this is what happens. You move damage around and you take out the important Pokemon that are going to attack you. So here I'm moving the damage to take out the Black Kyurem EX, because that's what needs to get done. And then I only need 1 more prize. So I need to put, I think Black Kyurem, the baby Black Kyurem, is only 130. So I need to get another 130 damage on his side of the table. And there we go. So I have got Champions Festival in here. So it's really to heal my side, because I don't have any heal, and I just really wanted to use the card as well. So he has the game over. After his turn, unless there's a way he can get 2 prizes now, which he really can't, I'll take out the baby Black Kyurem. But the other things that happen is the Mega Blastoise has got a heavy tank rate. I mean, 220 HP really sets you up quite nicely. See, now we're not even vulnerable to N. But the Champions Festival you have to put down at the right time, because if you don't, then they can start healing all this damage, and then that's counterproductive. Maybe I should actually take it out. Anyway, there you get a gist of the deck. I'm going to win now, just by moving the damage onto the baby Black Kyurem. Sorry, Sinister Hand does take a long time, and this is at 1.5 speed, so you can only imagine in games sometimes people just leave just because of it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I can do some more of these in the future. Cheers then.